And so on the like entrepreneur thing, one thing you said is, okay, when you went to these companies, you were very intentional of, I'm only going to be here for a year or until I find my next thing. I know a lot of people that hear that will think that, okay, to a lot of employers, that's a red flag and it makes you not an attractive hire. I know a lot of people say that. Personally, as running a business, if someone came to me with that level of directness, I would be very excited to have them work with us, because those are the people that push things forward significantly more than others. Is that a challenge that you ever encountered, or like how should people think about that now?
So what you're optimizing for when you're interviewing for a job, or when you're like, chatting with VCs, you're optimizing for high variance. So in other words, when I was going through kind of like the interview process, I would say that 90% of that, like people that I talked to, like just hated me, right? like immediately crossed me off the list, right? So you're correct in that. But McKinsey, to their credit, like I was true to myself. I was completely true to myself on what I wanted. I was completely open and transparent, and they were like, "Yeah, come here and do it," right? Because that was what they wanted. And if you look at it from their perspective, they're used to getting like Harvard MBAs and Wharton kids, and this was like a very refreshing, honest, authentic view on this, right? Now, on the flip side, if you're an employer, again, every company is a little bit different. Some people want just stability and 3 to 5 years. For me, I look for people, right? I'm very proud, because when I look at all the startups that I've had and I look at all the people that have come through, they have all gone on to do startups. They've all gone on to work at big tech companies, and I was one of their first hires, right? So I actually openly look for those people, because what's good for you is good for me. And if I can't harness your ambition and your energy, that's my fault, right? And when I was working at some of these companies, like I would openly look for these people, and I was glad to be their stepping stone onto something big, right? And if you look at some of these very big companies, like the Palantirs of the world, they openly are very proud of the fact that one out of every, let's say, 4 product managers at Palantir becomes a founder, right? So if you can harness it, like you can do really great things.
In your recruiting process then, like how do you identify someone who is of this nature and someone who isn't?
You look at their behaviors, I think. So for example, at McKinsey, like I remember like interviewing a lot of like very smart people, and I was in a venture building practice, and you can tell, like if you say, hey, where else are you interviewing? And they kind of give the standard answers, like
KPMG, Accenture.
yeah, like then no, like nothing in your history is telling me what it matches what you're saying, right? Another thing too is that I used to get yelled at McKinsey was I would spend the first 20 to 30 minutes of every interviewing basically going through a list of 20 reasons why they should not work at McKinsey and how terrible of an experience it is. And usually that filtered out a lot of people as well. But essentially the crazies who ended up like being convinced of that was actually a good thing to them, right? So again, you're qualifying out a lot of these things.
On both sides of that coin, you were the interviewee, and on the other hand, you were being interviewed. You approached it with a very authentic, here's what it is, here's who I am, or here's what the company is. And if it fits, it fits.
Yeah, because
and then you go for
What's
volume.
the point otherwise?
You've interviewed hundreds of people, right?
Yeah.
Like you can tell, when people are giving you like a boilerplate answer, right?
Yeah.
And so my advice to people is like, be yourself, be completely upfront on what you want out of an experience, because essentially what you should not be optimizing for is, let's say, the percentage of interviews that goes to the second stage. That's what you should not be optimizing for. What we should be optimizing for are the 1% of the openings or whatever that really love you. It's kind of like dating in your 20s. Like you're not optimizing for second dates. You're optimizing for the one person in the entire world who looks past all of your flaws, loves you for those flaws, and like, right? And you ignore all the 80 times that you just get rejected because it's not important. So you're optimizing for outliers.
Hey, if you enjoyed this quick clip, check out the full episode of Winning Friends linked below.